I've made my predictions for this season, but first, let's see what each team has done in the off-season. Dunk has brought in Julian Nagelsmann from the auction, so the club has been blessed with state-of-the-art facilities. He's built a decent team here, so it'll only be injuries that prevent Dunk from having another competitive season. Last season's champions have made sure to strengthen in defence and brought in the Atalanta coach to play a narrow 5-2-2-1 formation. He's definitely got the wing-backs to make use of the space on the wings, so let's see how the formation fares against some of the other tactics in the league. Roy has got a nice mix of youth and experience after bringing in Kevin De Bruyne and Robert Lewandowski. The only thing I worry about is the lack of natural fullbacks here. I think Sean might be related to Gareth Southgate, as he had 4 natural right-backs in his team before trading away Kyle Walker. He splashed the cash on wonder kid Samu Purtza, so we'll keep an eye on him throughout the competition. Mike has brought in Carlo Ancelotti to play 4-3-3, but the squad is currently very top-heavy. He made a late trade for Kyle Walker, but he's still a bit short in defence as he's having to play Henderson at centre-back, it seems. Jose Mourinho has been provided with a lot more attacking talent to play with by Sai Maggio. He's got a lot of young talent, so it'll be interesting to see how they all develop. I think it's a well-balanced starting 11. TomFM's bids in the auction were unsuccessful, so he's stuck with his 9 drafted players for this season. It's a good young squad, so if he tanks another season, you'd expect him to add even more quality and start challenging. And finally we have Billy's team. Looking at the new arrivals, I think his average age has probably doubled in this off-season. Like a lot of teams in the league, Billy's weakness is the lack of depth in defence, but if everyone stays healthy, I think we've got a title challenger here. So, here they are. I feel pretty confident in the bottom 2 again, but like last season, these teams can cause some upsets and maybe put a cup run together. I also feel pretty confident on Roy getting his first title, but I don't think it's the first time I've said that and then his team choked. I think injuries and suspensions will play a big part this season. Roy being able to reset his fitness halfway through with the manager perk could prove to be the difference. Let's jump to the first round of fixtures. Sai Maggio has only dropped 2 points so far, with new signing Ramos topping the goal scoring charts. It looks like there's still life in the old dog as Messi has started the round with 5 goals and 6 assists. Let's take a further look at the table. I'm surprised to see Sean so far down the league, but it looks like his team is really struggling to score goals. If we take a look at the XG, we can see, yeah, he's the lowest in terms of XG as well, so it's not particularly bad luck for him. And let's just end the round looking at the injuries, and it's bad news for Billy as Trent looks to be out for most of the next round. Pierre Kalulu is the other player with a fairly significant injury. Let's jump ahead to the halfway point in the league. Off the bat, it looks like we've got a bit of separation forming between the top 2 and the rest of the league. Roy is still in touching distance, but then there's a big gap to Romford, who have a surprising amount of draws. It looks like Osman has managed to pick up form for Sean, now with 9 goals, but Jadon Sancho is the current top scorer from the left wing of Dunk's team. Lautaro Martinez is probably out for the rest of the season after breaking his ankle in training. Romford have been hit with quite a few injuries to first teamers here. We've got a few injuries across the league, but Roy is sitting pretty thanks to Antonio Conte's healing hands. He'll be hoping to close the gap at the top in this next round. Round 3 is the final round before cup fixtures come into play and we test the squad depth of each team. Healing hands seem to have worked as Roy has jumped from third to first in the last round. I suspect Lewandowski's goals have been a big factor in that rise to the top. Looking at the form of the teams, and despite injury problems, Romford won 4 out of their last 5 games, but it's 9 games undefeated at the top for Roy. Mike and Tom have picked up a few wins this round and closed the gap on Billy. After losing 4-0 away to Roy, Tom went on to comfortably beat Sai Maggio and Dunk at home. And as we take a look at the injuries, we can see not as many this round, but it looks like every team other than TomFM have at least one notable player out. I mentioned the cup earlier, so let's take a look at the quarter-final draw. It should be a spicy tie between old rivals Dunk and Redrup. Given their recent form, I think Mike and Tom can definitely cause an upset in their fixtures. Billy will be hoping to end his run of 4 losses in a row against league leaders Roy. Before those games are played, we've had one more set of league matches to report on. After this one, it looks like it will be an Italian 2-horse race. Asai comfortably beat Dunk, while Roy dropped 2 points at home to Romford. Tom got another win against Mike and is now the form team in the league. Back to the cup, and a last-minute equaliser for Mike means it's all to play for in the second leg at home. Dunk got his first win in 7, and it looks like there's not much hope for Billy as Roy continues his great form. I feel like based on the current form of teams, it's not even a big shock that Mike and Tom have won again in the league. Roy got a big win away against Sean, which means there's only 2 points separating the bottom 4 teams. Now going back to the second leg of the cup, and would you believe it, Mike has knocked out cup holder Sai Maggio, thanks to a goal from Calvert-Lewin, who was on the trade block this off-season. Romford brought it back to knock out Dunk, while Sean and Roy hold on to their leads from the first leg. Dunk's poor form in the league continues as he loses 2-0 at home to Sean. Mike got a good away draw against Romford and leapfrogs Billy into 6th place. The top 2 got comfortable home wins and will be playing against each other after the cup semi-finals. Speaking of the cup, here is that draw for the semi-finals, and I think it's the draw that Mike would have been hoping for. So far he's won 1, drawn 1 and lost 1 against Sean this season. The first leg didn't go too badly either, as he got an away draw and was actually the more likely to win based on XG. But it was in the other fixture where all the action happened, as Roy had to play the whole second half with 10 men. De Bruyne missed a penalty in the 85th minute, but Roy still managed to get a last-minute equaliser, and Romford will feel like that was an opportunity missed. But it looks like Romford actually played better against 11 men after a comfortable home win, and they'll be facing Sweet Left Foot in the final, thanks to another 2 goals from Calvert-Lewin. In the top of the table clash, it was a very uneventful first half, but a lovely through ball from Oscar Gluck won a penalty kick for Roy, which was put away by Kevin De Bruyne. But the pain didn't end there for Sai Maggio, as De Bruyne spotted a mistake by Zaire Emery to let Canales through on goal. Sai had one chance cleared off the line, but otherwise it was a pretty comfortable victory for Roy and a comfortable game for Roy's defence. We had upsets in all 3 of the other ties, bringing the gap between 3rd and 8th place to just 9 points. Dunk lost again and has only recorded 5 points in his last 11 games, sitting at the bottom of the form table since the halfway point. Now let's take a break to see how the individual player stats look. It's a very close battle for the Golden Boot, with just 3 games remaining. Havertz and Ramos seem to have built a nice connection up front for Sai Maggio. And despite only 10 starts due to injuries, Sesko has 3 Man of the Match awards and averages a goal every 88 minutes. Before the next round of fixtures, we've got some big injury news as Lewandowski has broken his leg in training. But don't worry, Roy. Even you couldn't choke this one as a 1-0 win over TomFM secures the title with 2 games left. Sean has dropped down to 7th after a 4-3 loss to Romford as we look ahead to the first leg of the final between Romford and Sweetleft Tootsies. Despite conceding early, Romford managed a 2-1 win thanks to a goal and assist from Phil Foden. Still all to play for in the second leg though. Now, back to the league as Billy put 4 past Mike, who were bound to be tired from their midweek cup game. Considering how close the teams are at the bottom, I'd be pretty happy to lose the last few and get a better draft position. Now, there wasn't anything major to play for in the final round of fixtures, but Dunk and Mike have probably hurt themselves by jumping up a league position. Great time to end the winless streak, Dunk. Roy ran away with the title and finished deserved champions with the best goal difference by a significant margin. He ended up going the whole second half of the season undefeated and scored in all 16 of those undefeated games. Sean manages to get second pick in next season's draft due to his late slump in form. And it was Sean's star striker Victor Osimhen who got the golden boot due to playing 1 fewer match than Lewandowski. Phil Foden finished with the highest average rating, and Saint Maggio's 35-year-old Jan Sommer prevented the most XG, despite Donnarumma having the more clean sheets. So that just leaves 1 fixture remaining, and it was certainly worth waiting for. Sterling opened the scoring to make it 3-1 on aggregate, but 2 goals just after half-time brought it back to even, thanks to a howler from Unai Simon. Immobile thought he'd won it with 10 minutes left, but just 1 minute later, Unai Simon had other ideas, and Sesko scored his second of the game. So it went to penalties, and the first 4 for each team scored. Phil Foden stepped up first, followed by Florian Wirtz. Unai Simon turns from villain to hero with that save, and Romford lift the cup. So let's take a look at how that impacts the overall points standings. Roy takes over at the top, but that cup win helps Romford to stay in touch. Saint Maggio gets a nice prize money boost from Jose, but I'm hoping TomFM will dip into that 200 mil budget over the off-season to build on a decent end to the season, along with, of course, his number 1 draft pick,